We're in December, approaching the transfer window, which probably won't mean much to us with no money at all. But we are in a very, very good position. Let's see how. So here we are. We're on in the 20th of December, and we are top of the league by 5 points, which is absolutely beyond my wildest dreams at this point in the season. Probably safe already, obviously, despite the fact that last season we had such an awful end of the season. We nearly got relegated, being in almost as good a position. But I think we are now in such a good position that we should be fine. We are playing the team in second place today, so a chance to extend our lead at least to 6 points. Are Origin playing today? They're not. So if we were to Vicenza, no, Vicenza are winning. So we would have to win, and then we'd have our lead to at least 6 points. But it could be more if a couple of other teams were to lose as well. But yeah, things are going extraordinarily well, as that suggests. We had a couple of defeats to Pescara and Reggiana. But other than that, we've been extremely good. I think the Juventus game was the last one, wasn't it? Maybe did we have Pescara as well? I think we did. And so since then, we've had Frosinone, where we beat them. It was obviously a bit lucky there. We got a very late winner. And then Lecce, where we got an early-ish penalty. Bolzan's goal here in the first minute, it was actually after about 7 seconds. I'm sure it was one of the fastest goals we ever had. I didn't actually get a message about it. But as you can see, it is the fastest goal in Zaffarana history. 13 seconds in on the 12th of December, 2031, just 8 days ago. It was quite exciting. But then it was actually a fantastic game of football, because what happened, as you'll see here, is we went ahead, they pulled us back. We went ahead, they pulled us back. We went ahead, they pulled us back. Both teams having hat-trick goal scorers. So it was the Bolzan versus Franceschi match. And unfortunately, it ended up as a draw despite that hat-trick. But these things happen. And today we are hopefully going to be able to make up for it with a nice win at Erecci against Salernitana. And then we'll come back for the Vicenza game, I think, because they are the team that are sort of closest to us in the next few games that we could sort of pair up with Salernitana. And the TV guys clearly agree, because the Spezia game is one of the few games this season which will not be televised. So that does seem to me to be the obvious two to have. And then we will come back at some point, probably in February, to review anything that happens in January transfer-wise, although I don't imagine there'll be a huge amount. There is one thing that will be happening, and that is that... Sorry, correction. One thing has already happened, and that is that Abdallah Bassett has left the club. He has gone to... Is it Ghana? Yeah, Ghana. To resume his career there, because, well, to be honest, for the second time, it hasn't really worked out. I do like, though, that we've managed to buy him on a free twice and sell him for a profit twice. Admittedly, not as much of a profit this time, but a significant enough profit. And whilst obviously his wages would have meant that I wouldn't have actually made a profit on that occasion, we have to have a player in that position anyway, so I don't see that necessarily as wasted money. And he's made a couple of decent contributions, scored a couple of goals this time around, so it hasn't been a disaster by any means, and the little bit of extra cash that we got now was obviously something that we needed to have. The squad is getting more and more dominated by young players from our academy, and that's mainly because of money. Obviously a lot cheaper in general, and that's something that's going to have to continue for the time being, I think, because we just don't have the resources to be bringing more players in. So you're going to see more and more of these players with the little stars after their names. But they are starting to become a bit better. Colucci obviously has been a good player for a while, but Vignola is starting to show that he is a decent footballer. You can see his ability has improved significantly recently. Whilst Rolla has been very, very disappointing for a few years now, there are a few other players who could certainly turn out to be half decent at least. I'm not sure about Aiello, but certainly Utara, there's some promise there, although the tackling being so low is a problem. So we'll go on to today's game at Salernitana. And here we go. We've got Bambi playing up front for Salernitana. He scored a hat-trick recently, actually, in a game that I was doing off-stream. And I could see him coming out here. He scored a hat-trick, and it was just odd to see Bambi scoring a hat-trick. Nice little image there. And that's not a good start. Great start in the last game. This time, within 5 minutes, we are 1 down. Not so good. Long way to go yet, but at the moment, we're just a couple of points ahead of them. We are being dominated in these early minutes here. Something is going to need to change. Oh, God. Omar Rekic, former Arsenal player. That's a first, I think. Di Chiara is also a former Zaffarana player, by the way. I'm pretty sure that's the first former Arsenal player I've come up against in this save. Just have a quick look through. Is there anyone else? Omar Rekic. Di Chiara. is it. But cool to see, as obviously an Arsenal fan, cool to see an Arsenal player in the game against us. Signed him from Hertha Berlin last season, and in game sold him for just over £1 million. He did play a few league games though, including getting an assist, which is rather unusual for a player who I assume has mainly played in the centre back. Good to see a young Arsenal player doing well. We're getting to the point in this game where I might decide to call this a day. We may play the middle game as well, which I wasn't planning to do, but if we're going to get battered by Salernitana here, it doesn't seem a huge amount of point in finishing off this game. But we'll see. I think it's going to be a case of the next goal. The next goal, if it's for them, we will, I think, cut away. If it's not, then if we score, then obviously it could turn out to be a bit better. But at the moment, we haven't had a single shot yet. We are being absolutely battered by a team that feels like it's better than us, which is odd given that we are, well, before today we were 5 points clear of them. One of the problems is Sommer at the moment. I need to find a shadow striker who can do a better job than he's been doing. He's not done very well at all. And I think some of and Di Chiara does do the dirty on us as a former player. We never actually had him as part of the team, but he was on loan for about 3 years in a row. I'm going to cut away now. Half-time, obviously, at 3-0 down. It doesn't seem to be a huge amount of point in playing that second half. So I'll be back with you for the next game. See you in a second. So here we are against Spezia. And we have Liftoff. Team today has changed a little bit. Brought Roller back in. And Meloni as well, who has a shot that goes over the bar or possibly around the corner of the post. I'm not sure which. Regina are ahead. Keeping the pressure up big time. Salernitana, obviously, if they were to get ahead, then they would put even more pressure on us. And potentially even go ahead of us, because I think did we draw? Can't remember. But we need to win today, really. We need to try and keep that form not from going too far into the bin. We've obviously just drawn one, having won a couple in a row. It'd be nice to get a little bit of a run together now. We've obviously just drawn one and lost one after a few wins. We need to try and make sure that we get that form back, because whilst we're ahead of where I wanted to be at this stage of the season, I'm at the point now where I'm starting to think it'd be nice to actually at least make an effort to get that promotion that I was not expecting this year. If only because the money of from being in Serie A is something that we could really do with, even if it means we go straight back down again. I just think that money would make a huge difference to this club. I think we probably would go right back down again, particularly because however much the money is, we're not going to be able to afford a huge amount of improvements to the team. Might be offside, it is offside. It's only just offside though. We won't be able to afford the kind of things that will probably keep us in Serie A, but the money that we get should mean that we could then rebuild enough so that the next year promotion becomes easier, and then we can hopefully get enough money built up to stay in the league the year after. Because I mean, certainly in England, 1 year in the Premier League is enough to kind of keep you afloat for a while. But in Italy, I don't know if that's the case as much. As obviously, England is where the money is mostly, but we'll see. I mean, it must be more money. Kiliberti put himself sent off. That was really silly. And he's done that a few times recently. He's starting to become the new Riella, getting himself sent off almost every week. He was. Sommer over a little bit, where you have the centre of the pitch covered, even if it is a little bit less so because he's more attack-minded. It's going to make it difficult, I think, to win this game. It does mean that if Salernitana were to get a win, then we would be level on points with them. And that's assuming, of course, that we get a draw, which by no means is a certainty. Spezia, a team we should be beating, but with 10 men, it's going to be hard. And even harder now, with Olsea scoring a very, very nice free kick. Got to say, it's a pretty good goal. Not a huge amount that the keeper could have done about that. It's starting to look like this is going to be a tough day at the office. Cristiano can come on. Salernitana are now winning with a goal from Bambi. But that's maintenance of our own making more than anything, to be honest. It's not ideal, is it? Juventus getting absolutely battered their under-23s. They're going to be getting relegated pretty quickly. And Colo Colo has got the goal that means that this is definitely going to be another defeat for us. And things are starting to go a bit sour. I mean, I think we're probably safe already, but whether we can really carry on with this title race that it looked like we were in until a few games ago, I am starting to doubt, to be honest. We will see. There is plenty of time to go, and if I can find a way to get some players in over the January transfer window, I don't know if I can. If I can, then that will give us a little bit of a hope of putting things back in. That goal is awarded, but it's going to be too little too late, I think. Bolzan has done a very good season, to be fair. 15 goals now in 19 starts. That's pretty good in anyone's books. Still yet to find a player for this club who can kind of get beyond the goal a game mark, which is generally the kind of thing you need to get good, easy promotions. We did well, though, to stay in the game at least, and the fact that we managed to put it back to 2-1, give ourselves a little shot at maybe trying to get that point, despite being 2-0 down with 10 men, was impressive, actually. But yeah, as one of the fans said, it's always going to be an uphill struggle after a red card, and Giliberti has kind of let himself down there, really. It may actually be extended, we'll see. Meet on Christmas Day, what a horrible thing to have to do. We will come back to the third game, hopefully turn the form around a little bit. 3 home games in December is hopeful in terms of the finances, you would think, and Vicenza, presumably a fairly big draw, and we have made a big profit. That's partly because we've had a big cash injection this month, but obviously we are making a little bit more in terms of the gate receipts this year. Investments obviously have been a big factor, £2 million worth, but gate receipts already more than twice as much as last year, which is always good. Season tickets wise, not far off exactly the same, actually. It's interesting that. But that hopefully the season tickets hopefully will be offset by the fact that the gate receipts are obviously significantly higher. It should be about 4 times as big ish by the time the end of the season comes, assuming we keep doing well, of course. I thought if we drop off and the games start to be meaningless, then that will probably not be the case. But goodness me, we're going to have a problem next time, aren't we? Because the problem is squad depth is a problem. Right, I'm going to have to go away and have a look at the team, but I will come back for the Vicenza game in 4 days, and we'll see what we can make of this rather depleted squad. See you in a second. Right, scary player alert. We're coming up against Luka Jovic in the next game. This is a Luka Jovic who moved from Real Madrid in this game for 32.5 million to Juventus. Had one good season there-ish. Yeah, one good season, because it was 7.45, that was only 2 games. Then moved for a profit to Barcelona, for whom he played 13 league games before leaving on a free. Barcelona are not great at their transfer business with old players, are they? But Vicenza managed to get him for a million, which at this level I would imagine is a fantastic signing, even at the age of 34. He's clearly not going to last long, but what a signing that is for them. Probably the scariest player that I've come across, to be honest. Just trying to see if anyone else that I really remember here. Salah, it's not the Salah, obviously. Burger King, former Zaffarana player, of course, quite a while back now. Goodness me, went for 775,000 after leaving us for free. It's possibly a little bit of an oversight, although he was pretty poor for me, to be honest. It's a very generous fee for a player who's only ever done well in Belgium. But yes, wish I could have got that kind of money myself, to be honest. So we will be back very shortly for that Vicenza game. Meanwhile, though, we have managed to get rid of someone who has been pretty poor for us in Ralph Sommer. It's one of those things like I needed a shadow striker. He could play it quite well. At least I thought he could, but he hasn't really done the business for me. He's had plenty of chances. He's only managed 1 goal in his entire Zaffarana career, which for a shadow striker, it's a bit of a problem. We're going to get potentially up to 100,000 for him, but certainly 73,000 easily. It's pretty good given that we got him for free and how badly he's done. But at the same time, we need someone who can do that job properly. He's obviously not it. Christian Anselmo, I don't think is either. He's certainly not as good as him. It may be that his mentals are better enough that he could do better there, but I don't really think he's the answer long term, and I do need to find someone. The problem, of course, is that we don't really have the money for it. I've got this guy Tirinanzi coming in, who I think will probably be my new striker because he looks fantastic. But we also need that shadow striker to go with him. So obviously coming in on loan for the rest of the season, which hopefully could just be the goals that we need to fire us to the top, because I'm starting to think that maybe I need to switch this to having 2 strikers instead of the shadow striker, because Anselmo is clearly not the answer in that position, and we don't really have anyone else. And as we've established, we can't really afford to sign anyone. For this game, though, we have real problems in defence because, as you can see, we have no one available, or almost no one. We're going to have to call some players up from the youth team, obviously. The question is in which positions and whether we play some of those senior players in positions that they're not familiar with or not. My feeling is that a right back is a good idea because we can't really have Colucci and Tara playing at right backs. We haven't got many central defenders anyway, so I think we're going to need at least one player. Could be a right or left back because Tara could play either side, and then we'll obviously need players on the bench as well. So looking through the players who are playing well at the moment, not really defenders, are they? This guy Violante is probably the best of them, but he's not very good. Chio, not very good either. It's looking a bit of a problem, isn't it? And then the under-18s, Cristaldi is having a good season, certainly, but he's not the player we need. However, for the moment, you can come to Sinasword and sit on the bench. Might possibly be able to bring him on. He might be the best of them. Gelucci, he's all right. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be him. Let's move him up. And we can have Bianchi sitting on the bench. I think he's probably the second best. So Michelucci can go right back for his debut. And then everyone else who's available, Bianchi and Cristaldi-wise, we can get them on the bench. And we just don't bother with any other subs because there's no one else I would want to use, I don't think. Cristaldi, I might give him a game because he's obviously in very good nick. And he has got the ability to be pretty decent. He's not a great player, is he? But having him there, having him in good form, that might be the difference. Just having someone who can come in who's in good form and is able to do that sort of thing. So Vicenza, this is going to be a tough game. With the amount of players we've got out, it's not going to be easy, and I'm probably going to lose. But all we can do is do our best, right? Meloni's fitness test means that we can probably get away with playing Cristiani today because I'd rather not play more players who could get injuries. Having said that, of course, I'm sure that there'll be plenty of people who are currently on 100% fitness who will be getting injured in this game, just because that's the way it works when you're having a problem with injuries. I'd like to point out, by the way, that we have had our youth intake preview in. It's there. It's not as good as it could be, for sure, but it's nice to know we might get a goalkeeper in, because goalkeeper has been a bit of an issue over the last few years. And as we've discovered today, some fullbacks would probably be quite useful as well. So actually, I'm quite happy with the position, certainly. Whether it turns out to be an excellent intake, I seriously doubt. We've had many intakes recently where we've been told it's an excellent intake, and it really, really hasn't been. So that is what we're hoping for, but it's probably not what we're going to get. If we can get one player who would be useful, that would be nice. It does happen occasionally, after all. So let's make sure that we can change this form around, because recently it hasn't been very good. I'm not really expecting it to change today, particularly with Burger King and Jovic up front. I think it's going to be a pretty tough game, but let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Of course, if Jovic was to get injured early on or get sent off or something like that, that would change things rather, because he's the player I'm really scared of in this team. Michelucci finds Roller. Roller misses the chance. Burger King finds Jovic. Mocanu. Pastrone. Great save by Agostini. I need him to do well today, you feel, with that combination up front of Burger King and Jovic. Burger King shoots wide. Should point out, for anyone who hasn't been around for a long time, there is a reason he's called Burger King. So he used to be our player. His name is rather complicated. And I can't even remember why I called it Burger King. Duelo Bangula. I can't actually remember. Genuinely can't remember why I called it Burger King. There will have been a reason, but I can't remember what it was. I think it's probably something to do with the fact that he's got the word kin in his name. I don't know. Basically, he had a long name that I couldn't really pronounce, so I had to think of something. And Burger King was what I came up with. I had the same thing with the player called Shuzov. It's just a question of pronunciation, nothing else. Barcola. Long ball out to Mulatieri. Jovic is there and Jovic has scored. That's predictable, really. Don't know what Jovic is doing playing at this level. You would think he's the kind of player that wouldn't really go down to this kind of level at the end of his career, just retire. Like he needs the money. Bizarre place for him to end up. As you can see, we're now down in third place, and quite a few teams not far behind us as well. Are we heading towards a similar kind of drop like we had last season? I mean, I don't think we can get relegated, which was a worry last season. I think we've got too many points this year to worry about it, but I really don't want to go on another run like we had the back end of last year, where we absolutely fell apart. We have actually had the better of the chances in this game, marginally.
Lucci finds Vignola. Utara. Roller's there. Roller crosses it. Bolzan is there, but can't quite force the ball in. Apparently, we've got video screens at our new ground, which I find hard to believe for a team like this, but okay. Not sure why we're wasting so much money on TV screens when we're the kind of club that we are with the amount of debt that we've got. Seems like an unnecessary luxury to me. I was completely right to think that they would be the big threats in this game. Bring on Sommer up in that shadow striker position. Straudy has done well at centre-back. Obviously a makeshift centre-back. He's had a good game. Vignola finds Bolzan. Can he put it away? He can't. It'd be nice to have drawn level there. Sommer to Vignola. I think he might have been offside. And it looks to me like we're going to fall away with a bit of a whimper here. There haven't been any highlights in the last 10 minutes or so. And that is going to be all we have to offer. As I said, we have had the chances. Probably should have done a bit better, really. But that's not really the kind of result that we needed at this stage of the season, where we're starting to look like we're falling away a bit. Very, very similar story to last season so far. I think we've got more points than we had though that point last season. So hopefully we'll be okay. But I really was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, we could have that real push for promotion. Last season we got 33. We've already got 37 this season, so we should be absolutely fine. But as I say, that's not really the issue at this point. I had set the target of 55 points, which I should say we are still on target for in terms of points per game. But obviously the fact that we've lost a lot of games recently is the problem. You can see having not lost all seasons. Once we lost that first game, we've now lost 5 in 8 games, and that is a bit of a worry. So we will be back in a bit. Let's see, where would be good? I'm still hoping that we've got a bit of a promotion push in us. We've got a good 20 days off now to really kind of push things back in, and hopefully can get us sort of back to a position where we might sort of be pushing for the title. So I think we have to have that Regina game. I'm tempted to go for Pisa as well, because that should be a game we can win. Obviously, it's a home game. I want to try and highlight home games this season for obvious reasons, new ground and all. So I think we'll have Pisa and Regina will be our next game. So please do join us for that, and hopefully we can start to put some form back together. Thanks for joining us today. I know it's been a little bit disappointing in terms of the form. I think we've covered 3 defeats today, which might be a first. I hope that's not something that bodes badly for the rest of this season, but hopefully tomorrow will be an improvement. Please do join us again, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.